everybody. Welcome along to the live demo of LiveRem. I'm Kathleen Webber. I'm the co-founder and CEO of LiveRem, and today joined by the brilliant Megs, who's our head of growth. Hi, Megs.
Hello. Hi. Welcome. Lovely to have you all here. Thank you for joining us.
Very excited to be able to show you today our product and what we've been building, and talk a little bit about, I guess, where we're going and why we built LiveRem in the first place. But so I guess probably the best place to start is a little bit about who we are and why we started LiveRem in the first place. So we have another company, myself and my co-founder Jonathan Morgan, called Resolve Pay, which helps companies be compliant to the Holidays Act. And with that business, we saw so much payroll data and really got to understand the challenges that come with payroll and data and all of that joy. And we started asking the question of, if we were going to do something different, what could we do to really help HR professionals get better value from their payroll data? And so we interviewed a whole bunch of HR people from across the world around, what are your big challenges with your payroll and HR data? And the thing that they kept coming back to was access to real-time salary information and the benchmarking challenges that they had with using traditional salary surveys that were point in time, out of date, expensive, difficult to get really comparable insights from, required a lot of training to use. And I guess the frustration involved with that. And then I guess on top of that, around the inaccessibility for a whole portion of the market to even use those surveys because of the cost and effort involved. So we went through a design process and came up with what is now LiveRem, which is a real-time automated benchmarking platform that connects directly with your payroll and HR system to bring data in and have it anonymously benchmarked against other customers who are also connecting their data into the platform. The way that I thought we would run this session today is actually Megs, who spends all of her time speaking to our wonderful customers and prospective customers, and interviewing me while I do a bit of a demo around, the common questions that we get from a lot of the people that we speak to when we're sharing what LiveRem is and how it does and it works. So Megs, how do you feel? You up for that?
I'm up for that. I've got a bunch of questions that chief execs, CFOs, CPOs, HR directors ask me on a daily basis, Kat. So I'd like to put those to you and see, as we're working through the live version of LiveRem, that we can touch on those points and answer any questions. How does that sound?
Sounds good to me.
All right, cool. Right. Shall I kick off then?
Yeah. Shall I share my screen to get started, or did you have a question first?
No, I think you've covered really who is LiveRem, but I'm keen to see how it works. So let's open that up and have a look.
Amazing. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. So let's hope everything works as it's planned to. Can you see that?
Yep, can. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so LiveRem is designed to be automated and really save you as much time as possible. So when you sign up to LiveRem, the very first thing that you do is integrate or connect your payroll or HR system. In the past, if you've used traditional salary surveys, you may be required to put your data from your payroll or HR system into a spreadsheet, cleanse it, put it in a different format, and then send it through, say, via email to whoever's running the survey. With LiveRem, we've approached this by simply creating connections directly with payroll and HR systems via API connection, which is like a really technical term, but essentially a direct secure connection that brings the data straight through, no file sharing or anything like that. And simply works by, we click add connection here in the top right, and you'll see we've got a range of different payroll and HR systems that we have connections with. I think there's over 25 now. And all you need to do to connect up is click on your system, put in your username and password, and then click connect. That's it. Your data starts flowing into the system and it starts to be able to be benchmarked.
Fantastic. That answers my question. Right. Next one up, I guess, is Is my data secure? So when you put that connection through, is it secure? What does that look like?
Yes, great question. So data security and privacy is our #1 priority, and we're so committed to it that we actually have been independently certified under the ISO 27001 framework, which is an internationally, it is the international gold standard in data security and privacy, which means we are regularly audited, regularly tested, and have a whole lot of processes and policies in place to ensure that your data is kept secure. An API connection, I mean, in the simplest form, means that we connect directly to the payroll system, so the data that we need, and we don't pull all of your company information. We've pulled very, very specific data that's required to fill out the benchmarking, for example, salaries, role title, and location at like a city level rather than anything too granular. Everything is anonymized. We don't want to be able to see any kind of personally identifiable information. There's no way that any other customer would be able to know that your company's data is in our system by like any kind of filtering or anything like that. It is all very anonymized. But that API connection ensures that, it's not being sent over email, which could then be forwarded to other people or exists on that email server forever, or is at risk of like a phishing attack or anything like that. It is the most secure connection that you can get.
Thanks, Kat. That answered my question. Right. So tell me about mapping. Do I need to map all my roles? Do I need to spend time doing that?
Yeah. So this is a really good question. And I think that kind of leads into what's our kind of compensation or remuneration methodology that we use. What we do is as part of this anonymization process, when you first set up your connection, we get you to map your company's roles to our LiveRem role titles. So that say your company has a really specific role. So say your role is head of LiveRem growth, Megs. We obviously don't want any specific identifiable role titles in our system and for anyone else to be able to search. So you map them to our roles. So if I click here on company roles, you'll see all of the different role titles of your company, and then how you need to map them through to our generic role titles. We've taken it one step further though. We have a job description database. So if you've got someone who has a job title of an accountant, I'm clicking on here and looking at LiveRem roles accountant. If I click on this little purple arrow, it actually takes you through to our whole job description database. And it tells me here what an accountant means in the context of LiveRem. You can go through and look at all of the different responsibilities and experience and skills and make a determination as to whether an accountant in your company's context is an accountant in LiveRem's context, so that you're actually comparing apples with apples. So you might say, well, actually, our accountant is really aligned to a junior accountant. It just takes a moment for this to show. Here we go. Because they've got less experience, and so therefore it would be better for us to map an accountant role to a junior accountant. And you do this for all of your roles when you first get set up. The system automates on role title and maps on role title in the first instance, but you just need to go through and confirm that that's correct. And once it's set up, that's it, unless something changes on your side, if you've got a new role title or if someone's role changes in terms of the skills within a specific role, you might need to go back and remap, but largely it's pretty much set and forget.
Kat, can I ask a question? Do you cover all industries or is it certain areas?
So at the moment, we have got a lot of data in the tech space. We also have customers in professional services, so being accounting, engineering, construction. We have some retail customers. We have so a range of different industries. What is interesting is there's some roles that we definitely have really strong data in because they've, like, for example, administration or human resources or finance, because they're quite common across a range of different industries. When you start to get to really specific industries or specific roles, sometimes we don't have really deep coverage. It does depend.
Thanks. Okay.
Okay, so once you've mapped your roles and your locations as well, which is a similar process to the company roles, you can override on an individual employee if you want, but you don't have to. Then you can actually start to use the rest of the tool. So I'll start by showing you the market data. The market data allows you to search any role across our database, noting that every customer who uses LiveRem has to share their data to be able to get the insights. That's how we build our database and ensure that it's always real time. What I'll show you here is just a couple of different searches. This is all demo data, and any names you see within any of this demo is made up. So be assured on that. What I'll show you in the first instance though is just how it actually works. So if I search junior accountant and then click search, the system will go through and search all the data we've got on a junior accountant. With any subscription paid with LiveRem, you can have unlimited searches. So you can search this as much as you want. What it returns here is a range of different figures. This percentiles, 25th, 50th, 75th percentile is based on all of our data sets. So we're basically always creating a bell curve of the data that we've got. There's another view here, which gives you this box and whiskers graph. And if you hover over it, it tells you the sample size, the number of companies involved, and then a trust score, which is based on the number of data points we have on that role. Everything here is exportable. So if you click export here, you'll get this into a CSV file. If you search multiple different roles, so if I also search, say, Chief Technology Officer, it'll go away and it'll come back and it'll have both of those roles displayed. So you can search as much, like I said, like as much as you want on this. We're about to have a third tab that's introduced on that screen as well, which will show you how those role values have changed over time, which I'm really excited. That should be out hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And so you can see here these different roles and their different amounts. What you can also do here is you can refine by location, or you can refine by industry. You can refine by company size based on headcount, revenue, and then there's these buttons down the bottom here. So new hires only is roles that have been hired in the last 3 months. And if you want to exclude founders, we have quite a few tech startups in the data that can sometimes skew things, particularly at an exec level. You can exclude those as well.
So Kat, are you saying with that new hires feature that I can go back and see what's just happened in the last 90 days and then what's currently happening right now in the market?
That's right.
It's amazing.
I'll take you now to the people data screen. So the people data screen is your company's internal view of your staff and how they're benchmarked. So what this gives you is an always on view of where your team are really sitting in the market. What you can see here is these would be the names of your employees. You can turn off that feature. You don't have to pull in employees' names if you don't want to, but you are the only ones who can see this data. No one else can see your employees' names. If you turn it off, it just comes up with whatever ID you've got in your payroll or HR system associated with that individual employee. So if I look here as an example, we have, say, this person, Jake Bryan, his job title is VP Learning and Development. In LiveRem's mapping, he's been linked to a senior trainer role. The base salary of a VP Learning and Development, of Jake is 120,000, but the market value is 130. So he's actually considered about 10K below the target of what, of what this company has set up. One thing to note here is that it's a low trust score, so that means that there's less than 20 data points available for this role. So you might go, okay, it's interesting, but maybe it's something that we wouldn't 100% rely on, or we might, might not have as much confidence as compared to this next one down who's got 5 data points, 5-star trust. And so it looks like this person is currently being paid 74,000, but the market value is 140,000, and that's a pretty high level of confidence on that. So it gives you this always on view of where your team is sitting. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. Can I edit out this data in any way? Can I filter? Can I take this to a senior leadership meeting and really get into our strategies? How would I do that?
So there's a few things you can do. You can actually export this again into a CSV, and you can filter by things like below targets. You can really quickly see where those people are sitting, or actually above target as well. Are there people who are being paid more than the market? And by department. What we're soon introducing here is the ability for you to set your own bands. So you might say, okay, we want to always pay at the 40th and 60th percentile or anywhere in between. And so you'll be able to set that in here and actually be able to have that view automatically for yourselves.
Amazing. And if I was doing performance reviews, for us, our season is maybe March/April. How could I present this in a way to an employee sitting across the table to me?
Question. I'm glad you asked that because I always forget to show this. But if I click on, say, this individual employee here, what this does is gives us a view of their entire employment with the company. Now, the test data doesn't show it quite as clearly as it does in the real system. But what this does is says, okay, this person has worked at the company since March 2024, and this has been their salary the whole time while they've been employed here. And the real system has an overlay of the market data as well, so you can see that where they've always sat in the market. And this is a really useful conversation starter with employees when you're having those salary review conversations, saying, okay, well, our compensation or remuneration philosophy is that we always pay at the market or 10% below the market or wherever. And here's how we can show you that we've actually done that. Or, okay, we might not have got that right in the past, and here's what we're doing now and what we'll continue to do in the future.
Amazing. Thank you.
Okay,
sorry, apologies. I was going to say, so you've explained to me a little bit about the types of roles that you have and the types of industries that you might cover. Can you tell me a little bit about breadth? Like if I was looking for a product manager for my organization, and let's say I have a tech organization, how would I be able to compare apples to apples? Because a product manager from, say, the banking sector wouldn't be the same as my sector. What could I do? Like, I want to know a bit more about my sector, my industry. How could I use LiveRem to help me in that aspect?
So I think you go back into the market data screen and you would be able to filter at that point and say, search product manager, filter on location. I actually don't think we have any product managers in the test data, so I can't show that. But if I showed you the junior accountant as an example again, here you can then, I clicked too soon. I was going to click on advanced search. You could filter by industry and say, okay, I just want to look in tech. Here we go. I want to look in the tech space. So where is it? IT. And I'm a company with 250 people. And I only really care about roles that have been hired in the last 90 days. And that would be able to give you that level of insight. Now, if we don't have enough data, we won't display a result because we don't want companies to be able to, we don't want customers to be able to, search unlimited data, which wouldn't be statistically relevant. So if you do get a result that says, hey, we don't have enough data for that, sometimes just remove the filters and you'll get a high level review.
Amazing, thank you. One more question sort of in that same area. What if I wanted to form a closed network with other colleagues? Like I catch up for coffee with some other HR professionals around New Zealand and we talk about what's going on within our industry. How might I do that?
We've got this feature here called communities. And this will really come into its own in the next kind of month when we release our customizable dashboards. But essentially what this communities feature is, if I click on discover, it gives a diverse set of companies that have got some sort of commonality. So for example, we've got a community here called New Zealand SaaS. So companies who in New Zealand identify as being SaaS companies, software as a solution companies, can join this community and compare their REM based on other SaaS companies. And they might be, agricultural SaaS or fintechs or, all these different ranges that couldn't be filtered on industry. And they're not probably filtered necessarily on company size or revenue, but there is a commonality in their competition for talent. So that's where this community features really comes into its own around that comparison. We're planning on building out more communities here and working with some different industry bodies and groups of companies. So you can request to join communities, and they'll determine whether you're the right fit for that community as well.
Thank you.
If I click here on dashboard, I'm going to move to dashboarding. So this is our current free gender pay gap dashboard. Like I touched on just a moment ago, we are introducing customizable dashboards soon, so you'll be able to choose your own widgets of what you want to report on. But this is available to any company now for free. There's paid subscriptions, you do get a little bit more data, but essentially you've got this whole view here of all the different gender pay gap analysis that we offer. So things like headcount by gender, you've got your company's pay gap versus the market, which I think is really important. It's like, okay, your pay gap is, I mean, this is made up, but say 35%, but so what? Like, is that a good pay gap? Is it a bad pay gap? What's the context? So this really validates where you're at. And I think an important message there is like, it's okay if your pay gap's bad. This is the first step in understanding what the problem is, so that then you can go and look at addressing it. And there's a whole lot of analysis here. So there's headcount by pay bracket. There's salary cost by pay bracket. There's 3 highest gaps by role, the highest gaps by department. You've got a whole lot of information here on turnover history by different genders versus the market, and then your pay gap history as well. This is a really important feature for me personally around trying to actually do something about reducing gender pay gap for companies and removing that cost as a barrier for companies to be able to come on board. You can also switch between average and median based gaps as well, so it gives you that additional insight. And what we're hearing is that many of our customers are using some of this high level reporting, because everything, again, if you click there, just downloads as a little JPEG. And they're using it on their reporting with their boards or their investors or other key stakeholders and employees to really show that they're addressing and understanding these issues and what they're doing to try and fix it beyond that.
Amazing, thank you. I guess one final question for me is, how does the pricing plans work? Is it based on the amount of staff, employees that we have? Is it based on something different? Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. Can you see my pricing screen now?
Yep.
Okay, so pricing is all based on company size by headcount and there's subscriptions. So we've got annual and monthly subscription options, and the annual subscriptions are about 40% cheaper than a monthly subscription. And it's, like I said, done on headcount of your company. So our cheapest subscription is 30 employees per month, and that gives you 30 employees FTE. At $1,000 a year. That gives you full access to the system with unlimited searches. You can also have as many users as you want. So you might have your CEO, you might have your exec team, or you might just have HR using it, or finance, or whoever's responsible for this type of analysis. It's really up to you. What you get is the same for every paid subscription. It's really just the size of the company that changes the value. We have a free tier. The free tier allows you to test it out. You get 3 free searches a month, and you get the free gender pay gap dashboard. With all of our subscriptions, you do have to share your data to be able to access data.
Perfect, thank you. Right, I'm going to open it up wider to see if anyone else has any other questions. We've covered quite a bit on who LiveRem is and what LiveRem does around security, around privacy, around the features. Is there anything else from the wider collective that we might be missing? Any questions that anyone would like us to cover? Feel free to type away. Maria, Adele, is there anything we've missed for you?
And if not, if there's something that comes up afterwards, like really happy to have a chat at any time around what might be top of mind for you, or what might help you get this across the line internally, and how we can help support that.
Amazing. So, Kat, what I'm hearing from you today is that LiveRem is a product and not a traditional benchmarking service, so sits in quite a different area. I can see Colleen's asked a question there, so we'll just scoot to that. So as you do not have data in the healthcare sector, could we choose a segment of employee data that they could analyze, that they could use? How would that work?
So the first commitment that we make is if you are coming from a sector that we don't yet have more than 10 companies on the platform for, then we will give you a year's free subscription to bring you on. You'll still get value from the system for, I guess, what I would call kind of more common roles, admin, HR, marketing that you see across industries. In terms of could we choose a segment of employee data that we would like to analyze, I'm not quite sure I understand that. Megs, do you have a view on that?
Colleen, are you meaning that you're only looking at a certain part? So with the API connection in place, there isn't the flow of the connection to us. Yeah, I think that's what you're meaning. So Kat, I think Colin's referring to just being able to dissect and compare a certain part. Is that possible?
The short answer is not how it's designed at the moment. Like you could analyze it by department in that people data screen. And so you would have, say, all of your, if and on your side, whether it's your payroll or HR system has departments recorded, you could go, okay, Napier retail is an example here, who's under that, and analyze just on that. We've got in our job mapping the ability to map to those roles, and then once we have enough data, that's when you'll be able to analyze it. So just your question, so we'll be able to analyze nurses and doctors, but could we use it for our retail employees? Yes, is the short answer. Yes.
Yeah. It's really interesting. We're almost growing daily and weekly of different sectors, different industries, and as that community data set builds out, its merit is in its strength, that we have so much more, and it's exciting. We get to do it differently, and we get to build LiveRem out as this tool of fit for purpose for 2025.
Yeah, and I think just again reiterating that commitment to, if we don't have if your sector doesn't have more than 10 companies in it on the platform, or if we haven't yet got your payroll or HR system integration available, in both those scenarios, we'll give you 12 months free and we'll build the connection. So our brand promises we'll build any connection to any payroll or HR system. If they've got a direct connection via API, we'll build that. If they don't, we have a manual upload option, which we'll build.
Any other questions, guys? How are we going for time?
Well, thank you all for your time, and yeah, hopefully that was useful. If you've got any other questions, feel free to reach out to Megs, and yeah, have a great day.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. Ka kite, and enjoy the rest of your day.